when you're in the final mile space, if you have a minivan, immediately you're in the final mile
So you're in the business.
The barriers to entry are very low.
Phone in the car.
That's right.
We got
Just boom, was in business, right? Picking up stat deliveries. And I remember going out with him when I was 11, 12 years old at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning thinking, why? What are we doing? But that's how we got to start.
Yeah.
Literally one guy in a minivan
Yeah.
and one account. We were probably in the revenue range about 2 and 3 million. We were probably running about 30 independent contractors within an 80-ish mile radius of Indianapolis. Very limited banking opportunities. At any given time when I came into the business, we might have had maybe $30,000 to $50,000 on a line of credit back and forth, which is not much money at all. At the time, our driver pay weekly was maybe $18,000 to $20,000, and even that I was sweating. There were a lot of sweating. I remember telling my dad, I don't know how you do this. We had a great regional bank, but they only gave us enough to get halfway to the next step. So within about 5 years, we were able to engage a new bank. We got $1 million line of credit. I'll say Key Bank, which has been phenomenal. And we went from limping along literally to surging. I was used to the structure of a corporate America and expense accounts. And when you run a small business, corporate America, right? You can take a sabbatical, you can take off, you can go away for a month. Small business, it's if you don't show up, then no one's going to be there to do your job. It was a totally different mindset.
Did you find that as you started to make those inroads, make some changes, the staff, like this legacy staff that's been there, like,
everybody was on board.
They're receptive.
I'm joking.
In fact, our revenues dropped by 48%. And we saw this dramatic drop of revenues. We built a heck of a platform. Nothing like this industry has ever seen. It is a phenomenal platform. But what good is it if nobody uses it, right? Within 1 week, all those people were gone. We dropped our burn rate from 850 down to 350. And then we've been working to get at the losses and get into a profitable position, which is what we've been doing ever since. And so there was this great disruption in our supply chains, but there was this huge pent-up of demand for products to be delivered to the home, in the home, specific rooms, installation. Our industry, our same-day express delivery industry, we were not in that business.
Right.
Very few companies actually did the true final mile delivery. But our industry stepped up to do the work because our revenues actually were shrinking because of technology, and now it's expanding because of technology and what e-commerce has done to the demand for packages and parcels and pallets of cargo to be delivered to the home.
Yeah.
I went to my customers and I just asked for an 89% increase. Guess how many customers accepted that increase?
Goose sake.
None. As a business owner, when that business disappeared, I was thankful.
Yeah.
You know, I tried to communicate with my customer, and we appreciate our customers. We love our customers. But when you say 89%, they don't feel the love. And so they're like, what are you trying to tell us? Did we offend you in some way?
Yeah.
What I'm trying to tell you is this is what it takes to be successful.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that business went away.
Yeah.
But that is final mile. I think we bought 73 companies in 30 months, and we took our revenues from less than 100 million to nearly $1 billion in that period of time. And it was, and so we made a huge impact in our industry. It was a big deal, and it was a risky, but it was big, and it was visionary, and it changed many people's lives to the better. And so they tendered an offer. We went out at $10 a share. We sold at $36.50 a share. And lives were changed, and it was quite an experience.
Phenomenal experience.
I'm in business with my two sons with Pinch Transport, a number of divisions at Pinch Transport, and so that's an enterprise that continues to grow and is doing well. And then 2U Technologies is my primary focus, and so once you begin something, you want to finish it. You don't want to end without winning. You want to win. And so you ask, what is the driving factor? I want to win. I want to finish, and I want to win, not only for myself, but I want to win for our shareholders. who have entrusted me with their money. And so I want to cross the finish line as a winner.
I was born and raised in South Central LA. I'm the oldest of 3. I have 2 younger sisters. Life and coming from a Latino culture, there's just different expectations for women. I'm a second-generation immigrant. I started applying to schools. I got accepted. I got a full ride scholarship. I talked to my parents and I made the case and I listed 10 reasons why I should go. But for them, they were very short-sighted. It was like, you know what? You don't need a degree. You're going to be married and have kids in a few years.
What was it about that experience that made you say, I'm going to give up this dream I have of college?
I just needed to get a job just to help me pay for books. Like, I had no idea what a career company even was. And then I just quickly fell in love with everything that the company did. Every day was different. I felt useful. It was exciting. From then on, I eventually quit school because I was like, let me just do this full time now. I still have a copy of the first 2 checks to Pearl. There was lithographics and American Direct Mail. It was like, I made a copy of it. I'm like, that's it. Once you get paid, that's when you're in business. So anyways, I'm 36 years old and I'm still proving my parents wrong.
There was a point in time in my career at UPS, a couple of people called me HB Incorporated. Glenn came to me and he said, Harold, I really feel like you should be involved at Blue Streak. Why don't you come on board with me? And I said, Glenn, come on, man, get out of here. Yeah. I'm going to be the CEO of UPS one day. There were 3 customers in particular that we followed across the country. From probably 2012 to 2014, we were in some portion of 26 different states. And it was pretty painful.
What is it like having your kids in the business today?
It's incredibly gratifying and incredibly scary all at the same time because failure is not an option.
Where do you see this industry going?
I'm always excited about the future. I am. I'm more of an optimist, but I feel like everything is getting closer to the customer.
I got to work at a startup and got to see them raise a bunch of money really fast, spend a bunch of money really fast, and then go out of business really fast. That kind of led me thinking, okay, I think I need to start my own company. Gamefly still exists. And so the idea was you could play 20 to 40 games a year for the cost of maybe 4 or 5 games. We filed to go public in 2010. Market dynamics had shifted a little and we ended up not going public. I want to go in a different direction with streaming and digital. The board didn't necessarily want to do that. So I saw a different path and our paths didn't align. I knew of courier companies because when I worked in the mailroom 20 years prior to this at CA, everything they could mess up, they messed up.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I could do this better. Then realized that there was not a lot of players on a large scale. And so I was like, okay, that could be an interesting play as a national provider like a FedEx or a UPS, but for same day.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have acquired 8 companies in 10 years. Most of them have been fairly successful acquisitions.
If you're being totally objective, I'd say 6 of the 8 were good. 1 was great and 1 was not so good. I had to let a lot of people go that I've worked with for a very long time and respected and liked and had a history with. But ultimately, like, my job is to steward the ship, what's best for the business, not what's best for me or any individual at the company.
How did you get into the final mile industry? What were you doing before that?
I found the opportunity with Apple.
Okay.
They had me working from home and I had one computer over here working on building my business and I was over here like with the tech support. But this is where I was building Express Errands up.
Okay. How did you get the drivers? Were you doing deliveries yourself? Walk me through the first few months of that experience.
I was doing deliveries for a pharmacy. It was 3 routes at 3 scheduled times a day. And I was out from 9 in the morning to 5 in the morning. And I couldn't do anything. It was a good friend of mine. He just heard it in my voice. He called me up and asked me, like, what are you doing? He said, if it's 2 o'clock there, it's 1 o'clock here. And I said, and I'm so tired. And if it wasn't for him being my backbone, I don't even know where I was at. If we have to be real honest with the situation and say that these drivers were working without even the proper certifications. I was so busy getting with this one client that I had to learn how to pay the drivers. We're doing automotive, of course, the healthcare, we're doing life science and legal. As of the last pay, it was 63 drivers altogether. My goal is to be 100% nationwide. And I know that's a big goal, but that's my goal. Sure. That's how I envision it. And being a Black woman doing that, that pumps me even more. All I know is hustle. All I know is to get out there and get it. It's just what I know, but I know that I'm not settling. I'm going to settle for greatness.
What do you think she's saying right now, looking down on you?
My mom gave me $200 when she was on her deathbed. Listen, my mom is happy. She's there high-fiving me, congratulating me the whole way.
It was actually my first month on the job. We got a call from an executive at Amazon, and he said, we have this DSP final mile opportunity. We ended up getting awarded the work, and so we started our first location in Austin. We grew it to Houston, and we went to San Antonio, and we went to Lubbock as well.
How big did that business get?
We probably had 250 drivers at our peak. It was really big. We ended up, I want to say we were a top 3 largest route DSP provider at Amazon at our peak. Wow. We've been as high as doing $10 to $20 million in a year. So we ended up doing very well.
Winning the business is one thing.
Yep.
Managing growth is a whole other dynamic. How you manage from 0 to 250 drivers, maybe the downside of that too, and then obviously how it transition to the end of it.
Amazon moved over to the Amazon DSP 2.0 model. They wanted to be more decentralized. I don't think they wanted a lot of people like us in their facilities where I had more of a say. When peak comes and they say, hey, you got to double, triple your routes, and I say no. Amazon doesn't like that. Let's just say I had leverage, and so we ended up splitting ways. And it was extremely refreshing.
What's your outlook on the last mile delivery space and where it goes?
I really look at it in 2 ways. Is we have to identify trends, and we have to identify broad narratives. So I think we're looking at new trends. You mentioned drones. I think there's going to be a lot of regulation around drones. Self-driving vehicles is going to be very interesting. I would see self-driving is going to be a broader narrative, and I think it's going to challenge the Uber model right now. And where does that take us? I think we're going to see the self-driving vehicles penetrate either the middle mile or the final mile first.
But the funniest thing is, once I started my own company, I looked back, I was like, man, now I know why I was an independent contractor, because I never would have hired myself.
They were cutting the biker division, but the plan was to transition customers over to a ground.
They're just going to stop offering bike deliveries for $3.50 and turn them all into vehicle deliveries for $10, and no one's going to notice.
You guys had other ideas.
We had other ideas. Either you're a dinosaur or you're a bird, right? You know what I mean? Either you go extinct or you sprout feathers and start flying, right? Those are your choices. We evolved from a employee model to a independent contractor model.
Sounds like recently happened. You lost a large customer. Share that story. How do you
So they're a
navigate
bank that was like very big on customer service, and that was their whole thing. Like they used to have ads where people would give testimonials about their great customer service, and I left my passport on the banker's desk when I was picking up Deutschmarks on my way to Germany, and they brought me my passports in line for security at the airport. I'm like, they didn't do that. I did that.
You're one of the rare breeds that still use bike messengers. Right?
Someone's got to be dumb enough to do it. Yeah. I think most people are smarter than me. We're like ninjas. Your package is there, and then it's gone, and it shows up on someone else's desk, and no one really ever thought about it. Now, ever since COVID, everyone knows about delivery because they were getting stuff delivered to their houses. And I think it's great that a big sort of opportunity for us is this increased visibility.
What are the top verticals, customer segments you have in the business?
We're probably 60% in the construction world. In about the first year, I decided that we needed to get bigger into the medical side of things too, because I thought that was a huge opportunity. We created Pronto Medical Delivery, Pronto MD. And the drivers wear scrubs, and we're actually today carrying specimens, blood, dialysis equipment, and cadavers every day from airplanes to medical facilities. When I say we don't turn anything down, it really is an evaluation process every single day as to whether or not something is going to have the volume we need to be able to justify it from an ROI perspective. If it has that, then we'll go after it.
What are some of these KPIs?
I check every single performance per account to find out what's going on. We look at what I call new revenue. So it's somebody that's never done business with us before. That's one. Mm-hmm. I look at any revenue declines. If you haven't done business with us in 6 months or more, why is that? I look at on-time delivery, by dispatcher, by vehicle, by time of day. On my customer service side, my calls have to have an average handling time of less than 4 minutes. We do every single thing in our power from a functional perspective to meet the expectation of what customer centricity really is.
When you first got to Pronto, what was the size of it then?
We were probably about 18 to 19 million.
Okay.
We're sitting in the 33 million range now. What I've learned in my history is the 30 million range, you kind of hit a speed bump. And it's like, how do I break through that glass? I have a desire to branch out now and go into more markets as fast as we possibly can. And then to prop ourselves up so that we look like we would be a great acquisition for someone.
So I went to my dad and I said, hey, what do you think? You want me to come to work for you? You know, don't you want this? And he said, yeah, sure. And he goes, see that trailer load of BF Goodrich tires? Your job every day is to unload that trailer. You can't just have somebody going out there selling. They have to really understand the operation. The way I put it is this. You have UPS, FedEx, the LTL carriers. They all provide a great service. You use those services, you got to fit into their box. You come to us, we build the box for you with home delivery. It could be appliances, could be bedding, could be cabinetry. It's a business within a business. You have to run it separately. You really have to have a customer service department dedicated to that. Yes. Because I really truly believe we as consumers are more demanding than we are as business people. Listen, this industry is different. It's not Uber. You're not doing a single service. Uber is pull up, stop, wait a few minutes, drive, stop, wait a few minutes. That's it. You have to be compliant. And you have to understand certain things. I'm going to tell you right now, the driver of yesteryear compared to the driver of today, there is a vast difference. There was definitely times that I wanted to come take y'all out. Absolutely. We're all competitors. We're all friends in a sense, too. But if there were a personal situation, somebody walked up to me and said, hey, look, can you lay back on this? It would be like, sure, no problem. Because the relationship means more than going after $100,000 worth of business or something like that. Thank God every single day for what I have, and I thank Him for my problems because our problems could be so much worse. We were probably first, and then we became last. And we're on our journey to being first again.
The company originally started out in 2007, 2008. In 2020, we were the first company in Europe to be street legal with a vehicle without a person in it. It had not been done before. We have chosen US to implement last mile autonomous deliveries. Is that US is the place to be for this type of technology. You can program and then teach the systems to behave according to rules and regulations, but anything can happen.
What's the speed it can go? What's the payload capacity? What's the battery life?
We are usually going 30 mile, 35 mile per hour. Weight, we are a little bit over 1,000 pounds with 350 pounds of payload. Okay. With the batteries, we can run some 50 to 60 miles on one charge.
What's the rough monthly cost if I wanted to lease a few units to put in my business? My first thought as a former owner of the space comes to, I'm a little scared of it. Is this going to put me out of business?
What we've seen with customers like DHL, with whom we've worked on the European side, they have been really embracing this type of technology for a multitude of reasons.
If we close our eyes and open them up 5 years from now, what do you see as it relates to autonomous EVs and the role that it will play in final mile?
I think that the future is interesting. I can't say it enough. Seeing is believing. And when they see it, then they start to understand the effects there. There is definitely a use case, and the customer experience and time saving is instant.
As a little boy, I always dreamed that one day I'm going to have a business doing something. I always had a hustler's mentality in a good way. So Coke bottles, sold newspapers, wash cars, shine shoes, cut grass, clean office buildings. Whatever I could do to make a couple of extra dollars. And that's where it started. So the way the payroll business worked, you would turn your timesheets in on a Wednesday. The payroll company would process on a Thursday and deliver the checks on a Friday. But somebody to pick up the timesheets, take them back to the office, we do the payroll, and Friday deliver them. So I had a courier service, didn't know I had a courier service basically. He said, I'm quoting him, I thought about this last night, and I don't think you can do this. I'm waiting for the punchline. I'm waiting for him to start smiling. So he said, stone face. He said, so you might as well leave. Just cold. I said, that's unacceptable, sir. We struggled for a long time. I didn't get paid for years. And always put the best face on. Make sure the employees got paid. It gives you a mentality of this is a survival mentality. So you have to do what you need to survive.
What was the early kind of your recollection of having me, your son, back in the business full time?
I will say that. I can say this now because it's history. I think I was constantly trying to test you to see whether you were going to do everything you say you were going to do. And you certainly passed that test.
What was that experience like, and also having to let go of your baby and exit?
That's my baby. That's what it's like giving your child away or something. You know? Shielded the brain spine operation. She's one of the smartest people in the world.
Yes, she is.
And she kept me grounded on all my crazy ideas. My favorite term is follow up.
Borderline aggravation, I think is
well,
probably
you call it what you want, but it's follow up. It gets the job done.